crush it then. We'll see. I'm Omega Rusty. I haven't ran DMC3 in a while.
Too easy.
Let's see how this goes, huh? Oops. Well, it's already not going that great. I forgot to switch styles. See, gonna need royal guard. It's kind of important. There we go. Can't do that with Trickster. Green orb moment. Definitely a lot of rust going on. Well, yeah, of course, Ray. It's the best game ever made. So, of course, it's got great keyframing. This is my favorite game of all time, by far. It ain't even close. If anyone hasn't seen this run before, where I zoom to the enemy right there and like insta-kill them all, that's a 3-frame trick. So the window on that is only 3 frames. And that is why DMC3 is such a hard speedrun. It's all about royal guard management. And hitting those 3-frame tricks like that. Because hitting them saves an insane amount of time. How much time do they save? You think I'd hit them more often, but you know, a little rusty. Hey, I got my double S rank though, so that's good. I can actually buy Stinger 2 here. The orb route in this game is like non-existent, at least compared to DMC 1. But in early game, it's a little important, so you get Stinger at least. Excuse me, sir. But yeah, royal guard is based. Got like 3-frame perfect counters that do insane damage, 6-frame blocks that build for the counter, and it's a universal cancel, so it cancels literally like everything. Like the shotgun, for instance. And you can parry literally everything in the game, including like doors and shit. Easy peasy. First boss time. Hey, Cerberus. Unlucky he didn't fall over. And I also didn't blow up any of his heads. Cool. Fuck. Yeah, originally PS2. Best game of all time. Hard game though. God, he's so slow after you die once. Yay moment. There we go. Actually falls over. It's a little bit easier. But yeah, this game was originally PS2. As are most games that I play, because PS2 is the best console ever made. It's crazy though, because the PS2, like every game that released on multiple consoles, the worst version of that game is on PS2. But every game that released exclusively for PS2 is like the best game ever made. Isn't that wild? Like RE4 on the PS2 is fucking atrocious. But I mean, DMC3 like to go, right? Yeah, I never played Metal Gear Solid, but I heard they're good. Alright, so there's only one speedrun like big trick in this game, and it's right here, called Giga Zip. I'm gonna skip the whole of chapter 4 if I hit it, which I probably won't, because it's a 3-frame trick and it's hard. So I will explain it after I fail it. Okay, I failed it like 3 different ways there. That's all good. So basically, that little zip I do through enemies when I get the 3-frame trick, the gold release. If you do that while on the edge of a piece of geometry, you'll do what's called a zip, where you like zoom like really, really fast. And you can zip through the wall in this room and to a key item at the end of the level, skipping a fight called Centipede boss fight called Gigapede. And it's also the bigger of 2 skips that use a zip like that. So it's called Giga Zip. But you have to like be locked on to an enemy that's not aggro. So I accidentally aggroed the wrong enemy, making it impossible to do the trick. which is why I had to kill everyone instead. But you would zip through the wall and land at the end of the level, basically. But it's a 3-frame trick because, well, you gotta set it up. And then once it's set up, you gotta hit the gold release, which is only 3 frames to hit. And you gotta be standing in the right spot. If you do all of that, then you can zip through the wall and skip the whole level. It's really hard. It saves like 1 minute and 50 seconds. It's a really big skip because it skips this boss fight. And this boss fight sucks. But you only get 1 try or it's over. Like, you can't reload the room, and if you accidentally aggro the guy or you kill the enemies, like, you can't try again. Oh, sick 0 cycle. That 1 cycle that I just got right there is completely RNG, but saves a lot of time. That's sick. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It is dyslexic. Yeah, optimizations for exclusives on the PS2 were really good, but optimizations for anything else on the PS2 were awful. Oh my god, I'm trolled. If it's completely RNG, why is it allowed and duffel bag is not? I said it's not RNG at all. I never said it was RNG involved at all. Unless you mean the 1 cycle on that boss. I don't fucking know, dude. Why are you attacking me like I wrote the rules for RE4 Remake? I think they're fucking stupid. Like, literally, who are you? What is this conversation we're having? This is fucking stupid. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm playing Devil May Cry 3. In the name of all Argentinians, I apologize for that comment. Thank you, but you don't need to apologize for someone else. Everyone can be an idiot regardless of where they're from. Equal opportunity idiocy. Yeah. So we did a tournament for this game where we just did the first 7 missions of the game, and that was the whole tournament. And in my race against C. Mateus, I fell off this elevator and lost a minute. Good times, dude. Good times. I would have beat him too. I only lost by like 30 seconds. I was pissed. Literally the entire rest of the run was better than his, except I fell off this elevator. That was the only thing that lost me the thing, that lost me the race. Like, I straight up just should have beat him. I trolled and fell off the elevator. My hands hurt. EMC3 hurt your hands. Devil may hurt your hands, even. Sass. Nice. I love it. And Railguard's hard, man. It's definitely the most fun way to play. But yeah, very difficult. And it hurts your hands in some spots, like shotgun canceling with Railguard, like that can really hurt your hands actually. Thankfully you don't have to do too much of it because it stops being fast as soon as you get Agni Rudra. Because it's like Agni Rudra jump canceling is faster and that's not button mashing, so it doesn't hurt the hands. How to rank DMC games OSTs. That's a hard one. It changes depending on the day. They're all great. I think that 5 is probably my least favorite because I'm not a huge fan of that type of music in general, but it's not bad. I mean, its competition is phenomenal, so. I think 4 is probably my favorite though. At any point I could just throw on DMC 4's OST and sing along. One is definitely the most unique. And 3 is the most tonally consistent. Well, I guess 4's is more tonally consistent, but thematically consistent, I guess. Like with the game's aesthetic. The music in 3 just fits perfectly. What about DMC Remake? Well, they never remade any of the games, so I don't know what you're talking about. Not yet, at least. I think they probably will remake DMC 1 at some point. Oh yeah. Best game series ever made. Bar none. Hey, the tank. How you doing, dude? Horizon She is great all around, but Bury the Light Man from 5. Love that one. It's a great song. I like over listened to it when it came out, so I got kind of jaded from it, but it is a phenomenal song. What's up, Night Rod? If you never played the series before, what I'd recommend is just buying the HD collection on Steam. Playing 1, then skipping 2, play 3, then play 4, then 5. It's the best way to do it. And then if you really want to, after you beat all the other ones, go play 2. But 2 is terrible. But DMC 1 and DMC 3 are some of the best games ever made. DMC 4 mechanically is like the best game ever made, but the actual like player experience for playing it for like a first time is not phenomenal. Definitely not best game ever, but not horrendous either. DMC 4 is kind of like Melee, where it's got like, it's accidentally genius, but like only if you're at like a really high level. You know what I mean? You got like L canceling and wave dashing and all the crazy like super high level tech in Melee, but like if you're playing the game normally, then none of that shit matters. It's kind of the same thing in DMC 4. Nah, this is nothing like God of War. This game has way more mechanical depth than God of War. Like, it's not even close. Devil May Cry is way closer to a fighting game than it is to God of War. What's that, drinking Coca-Cola? Yeah, I got like another 45 minutes or so before I'm done. They're similar games in the way that, like, you know, you play as a crazy action character who in third person attacks enemies with melee and ranged combat, but that's about where it ends when it comes to the similarities. Good Virgil fight. Yeah, DMC is one of those games that, like, it just gets better the more you play it, you know? It just gets better and better. Like, the longer you play the game, the more it gets good. But the great thing about DMC is that it's fun on the first playthrough, too. At least DMC 3 and DMC 1 are. DMC 4 is not as fun on the first playthrough, but it's like Doom Eternal, you know? Like, sure, you can enjoy Doom Eternal on just a one playthrough and done kind of thing, but like, the more time you put into getting good at the combat system, like, the more fun the game becomes. Same exact thing with like every DMC game. Like, the more you play it, the better you get at the combat systems, the more fun the game becomes. Well, I mean, the first playthrough in a Devil May Cry game is essentially just a tutorial. Like, you don't even get all the mechanics until the end of your first playthrough. Like in DMC5, you don't even get Devil Trigger for Nero until you beat the game once. And that adds like an insane amount of depth to the character. It's a whole new resource. And you don't even get to use it on your first playthrough. You have to do New Game Plus to use it. The game is just constantly like introducing new mechanics and weapons and stuff until the very, very end. And then like, you're supposed to play the game again and again and again. I mean, there's a reason there's like 7 difficulty modes. What do you think about Reboot? Terrible. Love Doom Eternal, but I never got to finish it because the Series S in my game disc. But awesome time and you enjoyed it. Damn, that's unfortunate. Well, if you ever get a computer, definitely Doom Eternal on PC is way more fun than on controller. Just because that game is built for keyboard and mouse. The great thing about Devil May Cry is it's like the full package. Like the game has phenomenal, DMC3 at least is the full package. It's got phenomenal replayability, like almost all the levels are fun. The cutscenes are amazing. The music is really good. The aesthetic is really nice, holds up visually. Like it's a fucking fun ass game all the way around, like for everybody. It's also got like the insanely complex mechanical systems if you really want to delve into it. It's got really high difficulty. It's got everything. Damn it. That chokes. A quick kill. Is there a worse game to speedrun? Yeah, any Resident Evil. They're all awful. Okay, except for 3 make and 4 and 4 make. Those are good speedruns. Every other Resident Evil. Basically any Silent Hill game. At least to me, those are the worst types of speed games. The speed games where you do nothing but hold W for like an hour. Fucking awful. I literally just get bored and fall asleep. But I mean, from the games that you've seen me run today, I'm sure you can see that that's not really in my taste. Okay, here is the other zip. The mini zip to the Giga Zip. Nah, that game's dog shit. It has nothing to do with it being a fucking shooter or whatever. It's just the combat is ass. The gameplay mechanics are ass. The UI is ass. Everything about that game is ass. Nothing to do with nice zip. It's got nothing to do with it being an action game or whatever. It's just not a well-constructed game. It doesn't feel good to play. Yeah, I said 4make is a good speedrun. I definitely get tilted when I play it, but I wouldn't say I get bored. That's for sure. But I get very fucking bored running like Silent Hill or RE2 Remake because 90% of the run is just walking. Did he really just dodge like right out of the way at the last second? Unlucky. Try doing The Last of Us 2 speedruns where 70 minutes of it is load screens. Yeah, well, there's a reason I don't play dog shit video games like that. Yeah, jumping does make it easier to block and release because you buffer the iframes from the jump into the parry frames. Do I still have record in this game? I do not. I think I'm like 5th. Or 3rd. Plan on getting it back though, soon PM. I don't know how soon, but soon PM. Loner has it right now. He just got it recently. Loner is a fucking legend, dude. He's got DMC 1, DMD, all collectibles world record, DMC 2, Dante and Lucia record, and DMC 3 80% record all at the same time. Because he's a Giga Chad. The greatest to ever do it. Oh, I'm gonna miss the 2 cycle. Oh, that's fine. That's okay. I wonder how The Last of Us speedrun is on PC. I know that Anthony Caliber started doing that recently. I wonder if it's any good. I never actually played The Last of Us, but from my understanding, probably half of that speedrun is like moving ladders and pushing boxes while underwater. But being able to use mouse and keyboard to do the combat probably makes it way more fun. It's just a question of like how much of the game is like moving ladders, you know, and walk and talk sections. I always said I'd never play that game until it came to PC, and it finally did, so it's like, do I play it? I heard the PC port was awful. And I honestly kind of like shitting on the game, and if I play it, I might like it, and then I won't be able to shit on it anymore. It's largely the same on PC time-wise with no benefits found so far to be faster. Okay, but how many people are actually looking? Does Anthony play on a controller on PC? I bet you he does. I'm sure that just aiming in general is like more optimal on a keyboard and mouse. I know the Last of Us speedrunning community is not that big. And they all usually play on console. He plays on controller, yeah. So it's like, how are you gonna know if the best player isn't even trying, you know? Oh, I did that a little bit too early. Trolling. Fine. I'm sure that the load screens have to be faster though, right? Or is there no load screens because it's all walk and talk? Like surely on PC the load screens are faster. I mean, I would imagine at least. Really? That's interesting to me. I mean, I guess it's in theory it's possible, but like when I was having Time Splitters Feature Perfect on mouse and keyboard, like definitely there were some mouse and keyboard exclusive strats that saved time, but not in as many places as I thought there would be. Mansion had like completely different routing for the combat, but most of the other levels were the same. Loading is the same on PC as there's this none in the remake. You start the game and you can play it in one shot. Oh, interesting. Okay. That's cool, at least. Honestly, it doesn't sound like they benefited all that much from there being a PC port at all. Because the game design itself, you know. Instead of a load screen, we push a ladder or something. Well, that's cool. Good for them. Well, I don't. Jeez Lord. But DMC5 ass anyways, so they could have added puzzles and I wouldn't have cared. Puzzles are definitely like the worst part of every game they're in. Unless the game is literally a puzzle game. Like, you cannot believe the eye roll I made when I saw more puzzles in RE4 Remake. I'm like, oh boy, I really needed a break from all of this really fun combat that I was doing. I'm glad I'm not doing fun combat anymore. It definitely would have made my experience worse if I had just done more fun combat for like another 10 minutes. I didn't quite get the quick kill. No one cycle. Ooh, but I got the save. But you can't imagine someone who isn't a fan of the fun combat. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely a lot of stuff about 4MX combat that I don't find fun. So I can see why some people wouldn't. But I don't know. I always thought the whole, like, you know, add puzzles to, you know, adjust the pacing of the game to just be a total meme. Like, I've never been playing Doom Eternal and been like, man, this is too much combat. I wish that there was less combat in this game, you know? That's literally never happened once in my life. And like, if I did want to break from the combat, I just watch a cutscene, you know? I mean, make the cutscene skippable, so it's optional, but you can always just watch the cutscene. Like, I didn't get the second despawn. That's just because you don't like puzzles? Not because puzzles are bad? I never said puzzles are bad. But that's actually not true though, because I do like puzzles. Like, I can boot up Factorio and have a good time. I like crossword puzzles, they're fun. But like, when I want to be doing puzzles, I'll do a puzzle. Instead of like this half-ass puzzle that is like so easy a fucking brain-dead toddler with polio could do it. You know, distracting me from what would otherwise be a constant stream of fun gameplay. Like you're playing OGRE4 and you're doing like a bunch of fun combat rooms and then all of a sudden you have to enter 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that just makes the game less fun for me at least. But I can enjoy a good puzzle if the point of the game I'm playing is to do puzzles. I agree. Superior negative. That shit is cool. Halo Master Chief Collection did that. They like individual level, like perfect timing methods for like replaying the campaign. It's fucking sick. I get the stylish combos in this game. Not as good as I am at speedrunning, but I'm okay when it comes to style play. Well, what I'm saying is, like, in a game like RE, the puzzles are never difficult. They just ruin the pacing of the game. Like, when I'm playing RE4 Remake, I'm never like, man, I hope there's a puzzle in the next room. I'm always like, fuck, a puzzle. Not because the puzzle's hard, but because the puzzle just like, okay, now I gotta spend 10 minutes in this puzzle room. It just completely breaks the flow of the gameplay. Even if the puzzle was good, it's like, I would still rather be playing the actual game. Instead of this dumbass puzzle. Yeah, the actual game, aka like the combat and the resource management and then moving from room to room. The puzzles, like, they don't do anything for your resource management. They don't interact with any of the other game systems in place. They're completely independent systems that basically you're playing a completely different game when you interact with the puzzle in a Resident Evil game. Because they have nothing to do with resource management, they have nothing to do with any of the combat mechanics, they have nothing to do with anything else. Literally, it's like you're playing RE4 Remake, and then all of a sudden you are now playing a shitty puzzle game, and then after the shitty puzzle game's over, you're now playing RE4 Remake again. Like, you don't have to sacrifice resources to help solve the puzzles, you don't have to use your combat mechanics to solve the puzzles, it's a completely separate experience. Like, some are less egregious than others. Like, for example, there's a lot of movement puzzles in Doom Eternal, and they're like definitely the worst part of the game, but at least you're interacting with the puzzles through mechanics that are used elsewhere in the game. Like, you know, the puzzles in theory teach you more about the movement mechanics, which make you better at the gameplay, so they like actually flow into each other. But in Resident Evil, the puzzles have nothing to do with the rest of the gameplay loop. They essentially exist outside of the rest of the gameplay loop. Oreo, why are you on my lap right now? Sure, you can lay there, fine. Honestly, that's actual bad game design. What is? I said a lot of things. If you were saying that, like, you know, just completely taking you out of the gameplay loop and giving you a separate game is bad gameplay design, then I agree. Unless you're responding to superior negative, in which case, yeah, I also agree. I don't know, it's fucking, they're not puzzles. It's just downtime, basically. It's just filler. Like, here's a good example of a puzzle that is actually interesting. Like, in this game, there are things called combat adjudicators, where basically you have to reach a certain style rank while attacking an inanimate object to get, like, a bonus, like a blue orb fragment. Like, that is a good puzzle because it is teaching you more about the game's combat systems in an interesting way and rewards you with something that actually changes the rest of gameplay for you solving the puzzle. Thank you. And my cat is in the way. Saying that all the elements of the game have to have some synergy. I mean, if they don't necessarily have to, but I mean, it's good game design for the elements to all have synergy. Like, you know what? It's a game that doesn't have any synergy between its individual mechanics. WarioWare. Not the most popular game ever. You know, it certainly is a game that exists. Some people like it, but WarioWare is literally just a bunch of mini games. What's up, Rickman? So, like, yeah, sure. I mean, if your game's a bunch of mini games, but it doesn't matter if it has any synergy, but. There's really no excuse for them not to have synergy. Fight. Hello, I am one of your Japanese audience. I always love your DMC speedruns. Not good at English, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you. How you doing, Frank, man? Good to see ya. Wii Sports is the nuts. I do agree that Wii Sports fucks. I mean, you could do both, but for a game like RE4 Remake, to me, it just makes more sense for the mechanics to, like, for the puzzles to actually, like, be part of the game. I don't know, like, it's okay, I guess, that they aren't. I don't necessarily think that they have to be, but it's one of those games where it feels like they probably should. What's up, Castigar? And, you know, for me personally, I would much prefer the game to just completely drop puzzles altogether and not have them, because I think it would make the visceral experience of playing the game more fun. Especially on replays, puzzles are literally a one playthrough thing. Like, once you know the solution to the puzzle, it never stumps you again, and it's literally just becomes downtime. In a game like RE4 Remake, where you're supposed to replay it a bunch, having some puzzles in it is like, okay, well, You know, after you beat Waterhall and then you beat the Red Zealot room, it's like, okay, now I have to just like randomly fumble with some blocks for like 5 minutes because the game thinks it's important or something. The Switch version of DMC3 its own category? Yes, and it's much, much slower than the regular speedrun. Because having all your weapons at the same time is very slow, and the Switch doesn't have high enough frame rate to do Giga Zip. Yeah, thank fuck for that, Hearn. I wish I could let you skip all of Ashley's section. But, I mean, I'm more than happy with skipping half of it. I've only played it on that one first playthrough, and I'll never play the rest ever again. Because that shit just was boring. So... I mean, I kind of agree, Amadiaho, but I think that I'm really just talking about my personal preference. I just personally think it's stupid as fuck to have puzzles in your action game. Like, who cares? But I also enjoy video games in a very different way than like literally anyone else, so who cares what I think? Like, I genuinely only care about the gameplay mechanics. I'm the type of person who will legit skip cutscenes on your first playthrough. Like, presentation means almost nothing to me. This is like, are the gameplay mechanics fun? Like, I don't care about the narrative, I don't care about the presentation, the aesthetic, none of it. I'll play like a literal fucking all-white game with no like special textures or models or anything. If the gameplay is fun. And when talking to me about like what makes a good game, it's going to be very different than other people, because most people, presentation is the most important thing, and they're not going to play the game more than once, and they never actually master the gameplay mechanics. Which is fine. I mean, that's, everyone has their own way to enjoy games, but that's very different than what I do. I mean, it's more likely that new games are going to have no cutscene skips than old games. But that's also, it's not to say that I don't care about those other things, like the presentation and the aesthetic and stuff. Like, it's important to me, but if you're putting them on a scale of like what's most important, gameplay is like 10 out of 10. And everything else is like 1 or 2 out of 10. Well, this whole conversation started, Herg, because someone in the chat said I actually really like the puzzles in I really like the puzzles, and I'm bummed that they took them out of DMC5. Which, fair enough, I guess, but... I almost feel like, though, like if you're playing DMC5 and you're like really hoping for puzzles, maybe you missed the appeal of the other games. I don't know. You know? But then again, so did Capcom, so I can't blame you. IMO, this particular mission sucks. Yeah, this mission sucks cock. And you know why it sucks cock? Because it's a puzzle. Point proven. Once you know the solution to the puzzle and you don't have to treat it like a puzzle anymore, the mission's way more fun. Are there even puzzles in the MC1? What are the puzzles? I guess there's like the Lost Woods. That's not really a puzzle, you just like follow a light. It's not a puzzle, you don't have to figure anything out. The game just tells you to follow a light. And then there's a bunch of sections where you have an item and you have to put it somewhere else. I don't really consider those puzzles. In DMC4, the Lost Woods is a puzzle. And there is like a Lost Woods type thing in this game that's a puzzle. But I'll be real, when I first played through that as a kid, I literally just brute forced it and then memorized it. Normally I death warp here, but I have way too much health. Oh my god. That shit sucks without at least DT. Maybe I should build DT. Or I could death warp, I guess. Oh, it's too late now. You'd be surprised how many things are considered puzzles in game by devs nowadays. Speaking from work experience. Yeah, maybe we just have different definitions of puzzles. Like, I enjoy a combat puzzle room. Like the room in DMC1 where you have to follow the light and the light goes inside enemies and stuff. Like, that's cool. Like, I like that. That's a cool room. But like, that changes the way the combat works in that room for like a particular thing, you know? And like, you're interacting with it with your normal combat mechanics. But like this room we're in right here, this is fucking stupid. Like, who likes this shit? Like, you have to hit 2 dials and then like you have to get the balls to hit each other. Like, it's just actually torturous on the first playthrough. And then in subsequent playthroughs, you're just like, well, this is ass. You don't like any of the puzzles in RE4? Yeah, me either. I think they're dumb. Like, what does this add to this room? It just makes it more annoying. This is my favorite game ever. And I can get over these things, but like, you know, just why? Just to add some variance to the gameplay, I guess. But there are like a million other things that you could do that would be more fun, that would actually like change the way the combat's done. Like you could do something really interesting. Like, here's a good one. In this same game, there's a room where enemies are all DT'd all the time, and you have to like break open some dials in order for their DT to go away. And that is a really fun room. Because like you have to fight enemies in a completely unique way that you don't normally have to do. And that's like technically a puzzle, right? I mean, it's just a twist on what you would normally do in gameplay. It's like a gimmick room. Like that's way more interesting than, okay, now hit this ball. Or like the secret missions are a great example of what is essentially a puzzle, but just uses your core gameplay mechanics. You know? Like stay in the air for 20 seconds. Like that is a lot of, you know, mastery over the game's aerial combat. It essentially is a puzzle. But like, I don't know, that doesn't even really register to me as a puzzle. It's just normal gameplay. It's just an interesting gameplay situation. Yeah, like not every secret mission is equally fun. Like Secret Mission 5 in DMC 1 sucks. But it's more interesting than like doing a slider puzzle, you know? I would take Secret Mission 5 over doing a slider puzzle any day. You're thinking DMC 3. DMC 3 has the chess fight. Like the chessboard fight's a great example. That's a cool puzzle fight. You know, like you need to kill the king to win, but the king is invincible until you fight all the other pieces. Like that's a really interesting fight. Honestly, the dice minigame in DMC4 is actually not that bad if you know how to manip it. It's like kind of an interesting little fun mechanic if you know how to manip it, but people don't, so it's ass. That just makes it completely random. I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to figure out that like if you hit it with the Buster Arm, whatever's on top is what it always lands on. But once you know that, it's like a non-issue. But the problem is you can't really figure that out just by playing. You know, like someone has to tell you that shit. Unless you just randomly stumble upon it, but it seems unlikely. He dove. Unlucky. This boss is essentially a puzzle, and it's fun. I don't mind it. Because it's like normal gameplay, basically. It doesn't even feel like a puzzle. It's only when I recontextualize it as a puzzle do I recognize that it's a puzzle. Like, you can only damage the boss when you get stuck into the light. So you lure him into the light and then break the lights and then boom. Like, that is an interesting gameplay situation that is essentially a puzzle. You know, it's not just normal combat. I don't mind stuff like that at all. Is Dead Space part of this marathon? No, if you look at the supply split on the right, it says all the games. This is the last game of the day. Woo! Crazy. Huh. I fucked him there. Jesus. That was a good fight. Think the shotgun's that strong? It's not unless you're royal guard canceling it. I need royal guard to cancel the recovery animation. I can shoot way faster than you're supposed to be able to. Oh my god, I trolled. Ah, rip. Good recovery. Of the many times you played this, you never once used royal guard? Well, go play it again in main royal guard. It's fun. Best style. That puzzle kind of sucks because of the soft lock on though. That mirror one. All your best moves are tied to lock on, and you can't lock onto the mirror, which is kind of annoying. The puzzle would be a lot more fun if you could lock onto the mirror. I'm holding the analog down left. Just a speedrun marathon, comrade. One day I'll go back to get a record, but not anytime soon, I don't think. I kind of trolled, but it should be okay. I was supposed to use a Devil Star to make sure I had full DT, but I'll be fine. Yeah. All right. This one's pretty good actually. 212. Oh, I did too much damage. Oof. That's fine. GG. 113.30? Not bad actually. Honestly, I thought I was gonna go worse. I didn't get Giga Zip either, so. GG. And that's the marathon. Honestly, this wipe-a-thon went a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. I thought I was gonna be way more scuffed, considering how rusty I am.